Hello, everyone, and welcome to a special five-star Joshi Show Q&A here on the Fight Game Media Network YouTube page. I'm your host, as always, Scott Edwards, and I'm happy to give this free Q&A content to all of you with what should be a first of many Q&A sessions. This will be the very first one that you could check out here on the YouTube page. Really happy to be doing this. We're only going to go over a few questions today, but I look forward to hopefully doing these live moving forward with a chance to really open it up and answer questions on the fly, answer questions where I don't have time to think about them, but I'm really excited to be doing this, and I hope you all enjoy it. Of course, if you haven't been listening to the five-star Joshi show before, you could check that out on the Fight Game Media Network Plus Patreon every single week, usually on Thursday or Friday. And there's no better time than now to jump in. Stardom has their Cinderella tournament coming to an end at the end of the month. So next week's episode will be a live review. Not a live review, but a review nonetheless. It'll be one of the very first reviews up since that show is airing on Friday. So, without further ado, let's get to this Q&A. I was happy to, ask around on Twitter to see who was willing to give me some questions, and I got a good bunch here. We'll probably go through 3 or 5 questions depending how long this goes, but I'm very excited to go and jump in. So our very first question is from my friend Victor on Twitter. Uh, will Risa be in more singles action for Stardom moving forward? I think the answer is absolutely. I mean, we're seeing Suzuki, right? She is set for New Blood 2. She will be wrestling Mai Sakurai. That press conference just happened. We saw how that went. I think prominence is here to stay for a little bit. And that Shuri Risa Sarah match that was talked about, it doesn't feel like it just was discussed for no reason, right? They discussed it on a Stardom show after all. They could have cut that if they really wanted to. They could have made sure that didn't happen. But since it did, it does feel like that match could be coming up in the next couple of months. I think Risa Sarah should get a few singles matches under her belt here in Stardom just to give Stardom fans an idea of what she's capable of, because not all Stardom fans are watching Joshi's. They're not watching Ice Ribbon, where she called home for so long. So I think that'd be a really good idea. But yes, I do believe she will be continuing in Stardom and will be wrestling singles action moving forward. I think it'd be smart to maybe have her wrestle Hameka. Hameka has the challenge coming up against Shuri. So I feel that would be a really smart place to start. Maybe she beats Hameka after Hameka loses to Shuri, and that gets her that shot if they want to go that way with giving her a big singles win. I think that would work. So good question. The next question here we have is, do you think Stardom could do a Tokyo Dome show before 2025? Not only do I think they could, I think they will. I think this isn't even close to being a crazy question anymore. Stardom is growing rapidly. Stardom, they haven't reached the heights of a New Japan yet. But if you look at the attendance numbers, my friend Matt B on Twitter really does really good at sharing those and, kind of comparing them to Dragon Gate, because Dragon Gate is likely the number 2 in Japan. Not likely, very much is the heavy favorite of number 2 promotion-wise in Japan behind New Japan Pro Wrestling. So, for the first couple months, and now I will say Dragon Gate hasn't been running as big as shows as they often do, but for the first couple months, Stardom's been doing better than them for the most part, and that's been impressive. Now, Dragon Gate just had that killer Korakuen Hall show, a couple weeks ago for K Ness's retirement. But if you want to just see the growth of Stardom and kind of get an idea if there's a chance here, the answer is absolutely. The answer is absolutely. I don't think it's much of a question of if, I think it's when. When do they do it? They wanna do it. They have the prospects of doing it, and, you specifically said dome show. I added Tokyo Dome because I think that's where it's gonna happen if it's gonna happen. They're not gonna go to another dome. It has to be the Tokyo Dome. Do I think they run a show? Yeah, I do. I think within the next 2 years, I don't think we even have to worry about getting to 2025. I think they want to do it, and they can do it. So that's the exciting part there. And, yeah, I think it's a very, very much believable possibility. And this next question comes from the same person, Sandre. Thank you for sending these in. Would you want a KOD Joshi division headed by Saki Akai and Mayukihi in DDT? This is a great question because of what we've been seeing out of these two, especially as of late in DDT. Um, it's an interesting question also because, you know, Cyber Fight, which is the home of DDT, Pro Wrestling Noah, TJPW, and Gabari Pro, that's technically 2 women's divisions already under the title there, but but I think they do have an opportunity if they wanted to really have, Maya and Saki lead the way, because we're seeing them have matches, we're seeing them team up. It wouldn't be a bad idea to introduce a title. It really wouldn't be. I think that's something you could give probably. I mean, Akai's been there, but I think Yukihi would make sense to give the title to first. And then you could bring in names like an Asuka Veni, which obviously seeing she is working with DDT at their upcoming show, I mean, that feels like a no-brainer. Uh, you can go outside. Dash Chisako, I don't know why. She just jumped into my head as a possibility of Sendai wanted to work with them. Um, and then you have the AEW roster as well. I know some people aren't super over the moon about that, but a Serena Deeb, potentially, if she wanted to go to Japan, that would work. Tai Conchi, I hear her name get tossed around a lot for a possible name to go to Japan. But you have a roster there. Hikaru Shida. Now, Hikaru Shida does work with TJPW, but she does work with everybody. And I think that would be a great match. And it would be a way to continue that AEW and DDT relationship. It makes a lot of sense to me. There's of course, other Joshi names to put out there. I think you would be a great one. She, of course, is a freelancer, and I think she would fit that perfectly. But yeah, I think the division would be really cool. You have those two be really the stars of it. You introduce a title and everything. I think that'd be a cool addition to the DDT, you know, their entire company, because DDT isn't afraid to do anything, right? They're not afraid to do anything. So why would they be afraid to have a Joshi division of sorts? I think it would work because a lot of the time in Japanese companies, there isn't a company with both men's division and a women's division. It's often they're all their same, all different promotions. So I think that'd be pretty cool. And then you could always, book a weird story probably somehow with a male star trying to chase it, but he will never get it. And I think you try to keep it Joshi, and I think that would be a great way to go. And it also gives Saki Akai something, who's been in DDT and performing very well for so long. I think it'd be a cool thing to do. And Mayukihi, of course, is a good name to have uh, for that possibility. Next question. Again, thank you for that one. I thought that was a great one. This is from Calvin. Are there any Asian wrestlers you would fit into the current landscape of Stardom? This is always an interesting question for me, and it's not because I'm snobby. It's not because I don't think they don't belong, but Stardom's growth over the past couple years has, for the large part, come without Asian wrestlers. Be a Priestley was there for a little bit. Tekla's there now, and she's thriving. But I think a lot of the reason they succeeded so much is you have a roster so close knit, so comfortable with one another that it really, really works. They're all comfortable. They can all wrestle each other, and most of the time give you a very solid match, even if it's just a house show. Now, I do think there are options for Gaijin wrestlers to come over to Japan and work in Joshi wrestling. I think that's what a lot of companies offer, and I think that's something of interest to a lot of them. But Stardom has the ability to pick from the top of the top, right? They don't need to have the I'm not going to name any names, but they don't have to have the green of green Gaijin wrestlers on their rosters anymore. They can pick and choose. That's why Tekla's there. Tekla's not green. Tekla's great. She's great. You want someone at least at Tekla's quality of talent. And I know that's asking a lot because she's great, but I think that's what you strive for. And anyone better, you welcome with open arms. A few names that I came up with. One starts off with Masha Slamovich. I think that is a no-brainer. I think a lot of people agree too. She is a no-brainer when it comes to asking who's one of the best independent wrestlers in the United States right now. I think she's the best independent wrestler in the United States, period. Male, woman, doesn't matter. I think she'd fit great. And there's an obvious connection here. She was trained by Marvelous, Chigusa Nagayo, Takumi Iroha. When the pandemic started, she was stuck in Japan, so all she could do was work on her craft. But if she ever wanted to test the waters, and Marvelous has a good relationship with Stardom, so I think this is possible. I think Masha Slamovich would be a great add to this roster. She could bring a form of viciousness that would probably mesh so well with someone like a Julia or a Shuri. I think she would be my first pick in terms of possibilities. I know she is signed to Impact, but all she does is squash matches there, and she mostly does indie work. So I think she would be my number one pick, uh, name wise, to go from the United States as a Asian wrestler and head to Stardom. Another one, this is more of a pipe dream, but Sasha Banks. I think a lot of us agree Sasha Banks is probably the best women's wrestler not in Japan, truthfully. She's incredible. A lot of people like to call her the greatest of all time for women's wrestlers already in America. That's how good she is. Now, if you just want to talk an in-ring basis, that's that's what people say. And it's a fair comment because she is phenomenal. And I have said for a long time, it would be a shame if Sasha Banks didn't have one trip, one long trip in Japan to just show what she can do with the best of the best. She is an obvious name to be. She has so much star power to her that I don't even think WWE knows how much star power she has. She would be an obvious first pick, but I'm going with likely picks here. Of course, she did train with Meiko Satomura and Sendai Girls during that long period of time she had off in 2019. So that's really what's helped her tune her craft to the next level. So I think she would be an obvious choice. Another choice I had, which is is a Stardom alum, is Jamie Hayter. Jamie Hayter of AEW. I think it's kind of a no-brainer. I mean, we've seen her kind of hint at it on Twitter in the past that a return to a return to Stardom isn't totally out of the question. If you want to talk best in-ring women's wrestlers in AEW, it's probably Serena Deeb and Jamie Hayter. That's and Riho. Like those are probably the three. And I think Jamie Hayter, as someone who's so young, she pretty much could do whatever she wants. She can. I think her fitting back in kind of in this whole, she completely not evolutionized. She's completely transformed herself as a wrestler from when she was previously there. She looks different. She probably wrestles different, but I think she would be, kind of a must for the division and if Gasians were supposed to go over there. My other options, I have a few here. Roxy, who just debuted in WWE. I always thought she was great when she was out of it. She had her debut this past week on NXT 2.0, but I do think she would be a great one. We have the Renegade Twins, who pop up on AEW a lot. I think they're very good. I think they could learn a lot from working in Stardom. And, I said best of the best, but this is assuming that they don't, go and grab the best. I think the Renegade Twins could benefit a lot from that. I think they have something there. And I think it'd be an interesting uh, system to toss in there. And finally, my last choice is more of a deep dive into independent wrestling. But I saw Jessica Troy have a really good match over WrestleMania weekend with Rachel Ellering. And this is the first time I ever saw her, but I thought she had the makings to be someone to watch out for. So I want to toss her name in there as well. Thank you for the question, Kelvin. And our final question on today's Q&A is, what is Momo Watanabe stealing as a heel? This was asked by my friend Alex, and I think this is a great question to end on. What is Momo Watanabe stealing as a heel? What is it? Because I think a lot of people didn't know how to feel when she turned on Queen's Quest, joining Oedo Tai, becoming the Black Peach. And it took some time, but I think she's reached the point now where she's a star. She's a star. That's what she is. She has a superstar look from the new gear, the theme music, the new jacket. Everything about her seems like that full, complete, charismatic star that people were looking for out of Momo Watanabe. And when I say people, I mean probably Stardom, probably Bushiroad. She looks like that now. She has the look, she has the feeling, and now in the ring, she slowed it down, but in a good way. She's become methodical, but her strikes hit harder. She has, you know, dialed it back in terms of the way she wrestles her matches, but when she has the right opponent, she goes up to that she goes up to 100%. She is one of my favorite wrestlers for a reason. It's because everything about her feels real. When she's wrestling, she feels as real as can get. So, with this whole new package and just the long time ability to be an obvious heel, and now flipping that switch to fit that heel persona, the ceiling's world champion. That's what the ceiling is. People want her to be world champion for a long time. Understandably so. She's one of the best women's wrestlers in the world and has been. And she's only, I think she just turned 22. She's only 22. She's got time, but she's been around for a long time. She's been one of the best for a long time. She's ready. If she beat Shuri tomorrow, no one would blink an eye. No one. If she beat Shuri tomorrow, no one would blink an eye. She won the 5-star Grand Prix, went on to beat Shuri. No one would be shocked. She has that story to play to. That's her next goal. That's her next great goal. That's the mountain she's climbing. That's her ceiling. There is no ceiling. She can be a world champion in this character. She has completely changed Oedo Tai for the best. Her and Starlight Kid have made it one of the best groups in Stardom for a reason. It's fantastic. They are the best they've been since Kagetsu left. And as more and more she gets used to this character and more she gets used to who she is now as a wrestler, she's only going to get better. She's only going to get better. She hasn't entered her prime yet. She's nowhere close to her prime. That's the scary part. Momo Watanabe right now could be a world champion. You put the strap on her tomorrow, it makes sense. She's that heel champion that Stardom hasn't had in a long time. I don't even know if Stardom's had a real heel champ. I guess Aew was a heel champion, but she's that heel champion you could build a long-term story around as the champion with a baby face overcoming her. That's the story to tell. I think that's the story that fits, and I think that's the perfect way to go here in the future with Momo Watanabe as this heel character. I hope you enjoyed the very first Joshi Show Q&A, 5-star Joshi Show Q&A. This will be the first of many. This will be the first of probably many pre-recorded ones, but there will be live ones to come. But for now, you can follow me, it says it right there, at Scott E Wrestling on Twitter. You can subscribe to the Fight Game Media Network Plus Patreon to listen to the 5-star Joshi Show and so many other great shows there on the network. Please, thank you for joining me, and make sure to subscribe to the YouTube page so you never miss this and all the other great content that we have to offer. Until next time, guys, have a good one.